Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Phillipian Live. My name is Matt Surrey.
And I'm Bianca Pagano.
Tonight is September, Friday the 13th. The time is now 7:20 p.m. Coming to you live from the newsroom. Welcome to the second show of Phillipian Live. This week on the show,
As we've all experienced this past week, with the new year comes dramatic changes to the class schedule. We talk to students and faculty about their thoughts and experiences. After tackling their first day of classes under the new schedule, seniors tackled much more literal obstacles at Grit and Wit. Stick around to hear the seniors' thoughts about the new class bonding initiative that took place last Sunday.
and those seniors spent their week bonding. Not all students were getting along after the transcripts were made available for all classmates to see. The Hive Schedule website underwent a temporary glitch that allowed anyone with a PANet account to access the private information of any student on campus. Stay tuned for the segment.
Later in the week, Jim Ventry, class of 79, spoke at ASM for the first time in his new role as the interim head of school. We talked to Mr. Ventry personally about his new position and his plans for the year ahead. First segment tonight. The 2019-2020 school year has just begun. And like we mentioned, with that comes an entirely new class schedule.
The new schedule cuts Monday classes from 45 to 40 minutes and adds 35-minute double blocks for the rest of the week. Under these changes, classes met only 3 times per week. With 1 week of the new school year finished, we asked students and faculty to share their thoughts on the new schedule. Here's Ben Fu with the story.
Thank you. Students first heard about the details of the new schedule just last year, but the process for research and development began in the fall of 2014. Over the course of 4 years, faculty met in small groups to discuss various models. According to Mr. Beckwith, the general goals lean toward ensuring that the new schedule addressed student health and student learning. To relieve stress, the new schedule reduces the amount of transitions in a day, cuts the amount of class prep per evening, and moves the start time from 8:30 to 8:30 from 8. Reactions to the new schedule differ throughout the Ann Arbor community. The 75-minute double blocks during the week have attracted criticism from some students, but praise from others.
I feel like it is a big change from what we had last year in terms of being able to at least concentrate in class, because the schedule and the classes are so much longer now, and because we're going to be holed up in the classroom for such a long time, I'm worried that it may actually be counterproductive to retaining information in the classroom.
This one's definitely better because I actually get breaks in between, and on 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm getting out around 1, and there's breaks in the day, so if I need to decompress from one of the harder classes, I have that time, and I can get all my math homework done during my free time.
Some faculty believe likewise. With the extra time afforded for classes in the new schedule, teachers like French instructor Dr. Galou feel that they now have the flexibility to adjust pace and finish certain activities in class.
Yeah, that's definitely our job as teachers, to change what we do in a way that make doubles sustainable and so that students can focus. In a foreign language, it seems not too challenging to me. We can go to the language lab, for example, for part of class. That makes us move, change the setting, change the activity completely, and it's a different kind of focus. We can also use movies, videos, songs. We can use games where we move. We can go outside. So there are a lot of ways to change the pace of class and the kind of activity that you require from your brain so that the double should not be an issue.
Despite the mixed thoughts surrounding the double blocks, the new 8:30 start time has been met with generally positive feedback. Although there have been concerns about students going to sleep later, many believe that an extra 30 minutes will be an improvement.
I think it's better for everyone, so everyone can sleep in longer, because at my old school I had to get there at 7, and that was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Because I'd have to sometimes I'd go to bed at 2 and get up at 6. So at least now I could get up at 8 if the latest. I think it'll be better for everyone. Everyone will get more rest, have more time to decompress between classes.
I already noticed something different on the first day of classes. Somehow there was a different feel on campus, with people going to class seeming a little less stressed out, just walking around at 8:15, and I'm just hoping that everybody enjoys more sleep and doesn't go to bed later. But I'm hopeful.
The new schedule has only been in place for a week, but students and faculty have already felt its immediate impact. Its long-term consequences have yet to be seen. Ben Fu, reporting.
Thank you, Ben. Seniors attended the mandatory Grit and Wit obstacle course last weekend. Here's Live Associate Shira Wolpowitz with the story.
Thank you. This past Sunday, seniors spent the day at Phelps Stadium and the Snyder Center doing a variety of team bonding activities, culminating in a 20-station Grit and Wit obstacle course. Organized by the EBI department, the event marked the beginning of the new senior EBI course, Transitions. The event aimed to bring students together through activities in which they had to rely on each other as a team.
So Grit and Wit is an organization that comes in and works with schools and various different kinds of organizations to put together really a great fun team building kind of a day. And so with our own transition classes, we had an opportunity to go through the course. So there were things that were witty, and so we had to use our brains to kind of as a team solve different puzzles and really kind of think about, how do we get to the end results? And then, of course, there was the grit part, which were just, some kind of fun, there were like things you had to climb over and things you had to balance on, and there was a really crazy seesaw thing. But all along, right, it's about team building. So, if you didn't feel comfortable, maybe one of your teammates held your hand as you went over. Like that was for me on the seesaw. I was like, I am not going over this without holding someone's hand because I will fall right off. So really just a great opportunity on the heels of Thompson Island Outward Bound, which we did in the morning, which really set the stage for, again, our individual transition classes to get to know one another. Because certainly, like in my group, I knew some of my students already, but certainly not all of them. So, and they did not necessarily all know each other. And then, of course, like part of the whole day was also, the food trucks were there and just like fun music and just kind of having the seniors just feel a sense of like community with one another and building that sense of finally like class identity that of course starts to build in ninth grade, but as every year we keep adding new students to the class, it's just really nice that now the class is complete with our one-year seniors and postgraduates. So it's just nice to feel like, okay, now in our whole space we have this opportunity to get to know one another.
This program was also done in collaboration with Thompson Island Outward Bound, an organization committed to closing achievement and opportunity gaps for Boston's youth through educational outreach and development programs.
My name is Graham Ferguson and I work at Outward Bound at Thompson Island. I've been working there for the past year. The overarching theme is teamwork and, getting everybody comfortable with each other, especially at the beginning of a school year like we're doing it here. And with our group specifically, I noticed that there was a couple people that didn't know each other, so we used a lot of physical touch, a lot of trust progressions to get everybody kind of comfortable with being touched by other people on the shoulder and stuff like that, and just being ready to, interact throughout the school year.
During the event, students split into their EBI sections for the activities, which provided a meaningful way for both faculty and students within the classes to get to know one another better.
So the Transitions program is designed to address a number of needs that seniors have expressed to us over the years, much of them having to do with really transitioning from PA to their life after PA, and wanting to make sure that we're doing everything we can to give them space and time to think about what's really important to them, to think about who they are, the values that guide them, so that they can be launching into this next chapter, wherever they head from here, with a real sense of self-awareness, again, continuing to build on skills of cultural competency and thinking about the values that really inform their decision making.
So I'm teaching EBI transitions this year. I offered to. I used to teach something like this in my old school. We had something called Life After Parker. That was the name of my old school. And I just think it's an important year to be thinking about change. So I'm excited to teach transitions. I'm excited to think with seniors about like what's going on right now and what's next. And it's not too much of a teaching curriculum. It's a lot more discussion and thinking together. I just think there's a lot of opportunity to think about like who we are right now and who we want to be when we go away from here.
The Grit and Wit event was originally planned to take place in the sanctuary, which raised some concerns among the senior class as students worried about the imminent threat of EEE. As a result, the event was rescheduled and moved to the stadium to avoid mosquitoes and wooded areas. However, many seniors were still concerned about Grit and Wit, primarily due to its being scheduled from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Well, personally, I don't think it's really fair for the teachers to be able to just take away our Sundays, because really they're taking away because people have to go to church, so they're really taking away our religious freedoms, and I really don't think that's something that teachers should be doing. And also, Sunday's just the one day that I'm supposed to have free.
Personally, I think that the program's going pretty well. I enjoyed a lot of the team building games. I do wish that the scheduling was handled a little bit better, because I do recognize that it's Sunday and it's in the morning, so some people were trying to go to religious services, and it's kind of early. But I do think that this is a good experience for all of us to have together as a class. I'm excited for the food that's coming later, and I'm just generally hoping that we can continue to have a good time, make the best out of it, even if we don't all want to be here.
While he and many others had not initially been looking forward to Grit and Wit, Jeffrey Steele, class of 20, noted that most students seemed to enjoy the event. According to Steele, the event was planned better than he had thought.
Originally, I thought it was just going to be Grit and Wit the entire time, and I was just thinking, how long can this obstacle course really be? But now that we've actually started, and I see that we're doing some team building games beforehand, and that there's going to be food in between, I kind of there's breaks in between, so it's not as bad. It's not a straight shot. There's time to actually sit down, take it easy, enjoy yourself. So I feel like it was better planned than we previously thought.
In the end, I felt, and maybe it was just the students with whom I spoke, but I think that most kids had a pretty fun time. I know the faculty members had a great time, and so I hope that the hype around this is positive enough that students next year would be excited to do something similar. One of the other sets of needs senior fall that we're being responsive to is that seniors feel stretched by their number of commitments, by the college application process, and so we are trying not to have required programming during this stretch of time that feels busier.
Shira Wolfowitz reporting.
Thanks, Shira. Now, head of school John Palfrey ended his 7-year tenure last year. As the search for the next head of school continues, Jim Ventry is serving as the interim head of school for this year. We talked with Ventry, his colleagues, and students about this new change in leadership. Here's live associate Lexi Mariano with the story.
Thank you. Last March, head of school John Palfrey announced his departure as the 15th head of school, ending his 7-year tenure in the 2018-2019 school year. Now, Palfrey is the 6th president of the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, a large nonprofit organization based out of Chicago. Concerning his departure, Palfrey said, "When I come to Andover, the thing that moved me the most was that it was a chance every day to walk across the street to work on non-civi. The opportunity to do that at the scale that the MacArthur Foundation could do, it felt like the right thing to do." As interim head of school, Ventry plans to continue the initiatives Palfrey had set in place. Ventry is no stranger to Andover, being an alumnus class of '79. After working at Andover Admissions for over 30 years, he was appointed in 2013 as the Dean of Admissions and Director of Financial Aid. Ventry says he is most excited about the inspiration he sees in Andover students and the community as a whole.
For is the inspiration that I find with our students and our faculty and administrators and staff, the people of Andover. That's always been part of my life, that I have gravitated toward things. And the example I would give you is the grand opening of the Oliver Wendell Holmes Library, where I was just standing there greeting students and visitors as they came in, and the energy of the students and the excitement had me all welled up. I was teared up because I was so happy for the students who recognized that Andover made this investment for them.
Ventry is also looking forward to being more involved on campus. He hopes to connect with students and learn more about various student activities and ideas.
So one of the things I've always looked for groups, not necessarily club meetings. It's potentially drawing groups of students together who want to talk about certain things. So I plan to have meetings here. Obviously, I plan to be more visible in other areas on campus, in the makerspace, or overlooking what's going on in a classroom in the art studios here. I think that is important in terms of celebrating the small victories that occur every single day here.
Questions that students always ask Ventry tend to revolve around two topics: Head of School Day, a 28-year-old tradition of canceling classes one day each winter term, and Phelps House, the house on Main Street that has been the residence of every head of school for more than 100 years.
I'm not moving into Phelps House. They are renovating it, which is really important. It needs systems work. In terms of head of school day, yes, there will be a head of school day. I haven't yet decided how I'm going to work that out. I have lots of opinions. I would love to hear your opinions as well. When I was at Andover and at Dartmouth College, I played football and ran track. Those don't have squash rackets or field hockey sticks or items like that. So I'm not sure that it will have an athletic moment, but it will definitely resonate with students. I can promise that. I have some ideas.
Dean of Students Jenny Elliott has worked with Mr. Ventry for the past 2 years on the Senior Administrative Council. She weighs in on the role of interim head of school and about the searching process for the next head of school.
Mr. Ventry, primarily needs to make sure that we keep school and we keep school running and that we create an awesome year for our students who are here right now. In addition, part of the role of the head of school is fundraising, and we're in the middle of a campaign, and right now we're highly concentrated on raising money for financial aid so that we can maintain need-blind admissions forever, we hope. And Mr. Ventry has been a huge champion of need-blind admissions at Andover.
The search committee first met last June to begin the process of finding, meeting, and vetting candidates. The search is led by Amy Falls, President-elect of the Board of Trustees.
We have an awesome search committee that's comprised of faculty members and administrators and trustees. Amy Falls, who's our president-elect of the board, she's chairing that committee. She's a phenomenal leader on this front, and so they've been working really hard in identifying leaders around the country, probably the world, in terms of thinking about folks who are interested in this particular role.
With a smooth change in leadership, Mr. Ventry is already a familiar presence on campus. Members of the Andover community have mostly positive remarks about the transition. Director of Academy Communications Tracy Sweet has worked closely with Mr. Ventry both in his admission leadership role and now as interim head of school. In an email to the Phillipian, Sweet has said, "Mr. Ventry is a thoughtful leader, a dedicated team player, and a visionary, always thinking of ways to make Andover even stronger." Others weigh in.
I haven't interacted with Mr. Ventry, many times, but he always remembers my name. He's a funny guy, he's a nice guy. So I was glad that they had someone like him taking over in this time that's very uncertain, I guess, about what comes next. Obviously, I was really sad that Mr. Palfrey was leaving, but I was glad that they had someone like Mr. Ventry to come.
Working with him now as our interim head of school has been such a delight. The ways that he's moved into this role, I think Mr. Ventry is one of the more generous and hardworking colleagues I've ever worked with. His willingness to step up and serve in this role is such a tremendous example of his generosity and love of this place.
Lexi Mariano reporting.
Thank you, Lexi. One of the moments that really marks the beginning of the school year is getting your new schedule. However, this year's schedule release came with significant mishap that allows students to see other grades, among other things.
Yikes.
Here's live reporter Aaron Chung with the story.
Last Thursday, prior to the official release of schedules, community members with PANet accounts were able to access all private student information on the Hive Schedule website. For a period of 15 minutes after schedules were released, students were able to view each other's transcripts, schedules, and attendance records by searching their names in the system. However, the technology office was quick to respond to the technological error, and the incident was soon resolved. According to Clive Beckwith, Assistant Head of School for Teaching and Learning, higher-level permissions within the computer program remained activated when schedules were launched, allowing students to special access to the information.
We tried the technical aspects of releasing the new schedule, that a permission was overrode, which means that students were able to see when you went onto My Schedule, you could actually search for names, which is not a function that students typically have. And for that period of about 15 minutes, the permissions was overrode so that students could in fact access other students' schedules. And in that practice, what happened was the fact that you could also see transcripts.
In spite of sending a community-wide apology email to all parents, Beckwith found the incident to be more serious than expected because many students were eager to see their schedules immediately after the launch.
But for a period of less than 15 minutes, it was open, and because students were eager to see their schedules, a lot of people were hammering at the schedules, and therefore the overlap of the mistake, even for the very brief time, some students were able to see other students' schedules. We sent a message out to the parents and to the community as to what transpired. The aftermath, what happened during it was that actually quite a few students came into the Dean of Studies office and talked to my office. They actually found adults on the campus to say that this is what's happening. So within minutes, students were informing us as to what was going on.
Alex Mitchell, class of 22, saw his close friend search his grades as a joke. Though Mitchell was not offended at all, he acknowledged that others who are sensitive about their grades might feel insecure about the incident.
I don't think it had that much of a very specific effect on me because someone I know pretty well Googled my grades as a joke, but like it's not that big a deal. But I can clearly see how someone else who's sensitive about their grades could definitely be hurt by it, and I'm kind of glad that didn't happen to me. But the school should definitely make sure this doesn't happen again.
While agreeing that the sensitivity and competitiveness of many Andover students could be why students continue to be concerned, Beckwith understood that such incident would have caused reactions of insecurity among any given student body.
I don't know if it's any different at Andover than at other schools. That's not information that we generally share, right?
Yeah.
So in this process, nothing was ever beyond PANet, and in this process, this is not what we generally do not show other students' grades. Some schools do, but we don't generally do that.
Beckwith also believes that the administration's incompetence in handling the system was partly because of its decision to use an unfamiliar scheduling program for the 2019-20 school year.
Schedule was presented, was a new system, and because of that, they wanted to test it, and while testing it, the permissions got overwritten. How? I don't know that yet, and why? I don't know that yet.
In order to prevent the accident from occurring, the administration plans on having strict precautions in the future.
Oh, I don't think students need to do anything. This was entirely unintentional, if you will. It was a matter of testing a new system and overlapped with the fact that students were very much online looking for their schedules. What we will not do is we will not test a new system the day that students are all checking for their new schedules, and we will never intentionally override a permission system.
Despite the aftermath, students like Jake Zumo were quite impressed by the mature way that students dealt with the incident. Though Zumo finds the occurrence of the incident to be unfortunate, he also thinks that the results would have been worse without the majority of students' respect towards privacy.
It seemed like a lot of people were pretty reverent about it. They didn't really look at other people's grades and abuse it. So overall, I think it was an interesting little blip in the system, but I didn't think it had any important long-term consequences. I don't think anybody was really hurt by it ultimately.
Aaron Chung reporting.
Thanks, Aaron. Now, in the paper this week, today was issue number 17, volume CXLII, the Phillipian's first full paper of the school year. This week in news, you can read about The Last American Colony, a documentary about an Andover alum who became an activist for Puerto Rico independence and pulled off one of the largest cash bank heists in American history. In commentary, Megan Vaz examines the role of eco-capitalism, consumer habits, and social media activism in the escalation of fires in the Amazon rainforest. In sports, read about girls varsity soccer's win against Groton last week.
As always, if you're interested in the Phillipian Live or the Phillipian as a whole, come find us at the club rally, in the newsroom, or visit our website to join. Anyone can sign up to be a writer for any editorial section of the print paper and be given assignments each week, or be a reporter on the Phillipian Live, and go live on our air to present your segment. If you're more interested in video, graphics, or live production, we love your help as well. Go to phillipian.net/join or email um@phillipian.net for more information.
And that concludes this week's show, Phillipian Live. We hope you enjoyed it, and tune in again next Friday at 7 p.m. Enjoy your Friday night, everybody.
See you guys next week.